Kia ora, fellow classmates. Back again for another episode of Where Are They Now? Now, look, all our teachers were so important to us. In fact, not just teachers, staff members, boarding, hostel masters, kitchen staff, even the laundry staff, a lot of us will remember. Now, today is a special day. It's an anniversary day. We lost one of our dear teachers, Mr. Paul Ellis, who was actually tragically murdered in the late 90s, and today's his anniversary date. Mr. Ellis was driving a taxi and basically robbed for a few measly dollars, and someone took his life. So a really sad day. We send our aroha out to the Ellis family, who I know, and we'll be thinking of them today. So changing things up a little bit today, I thought we'd bring back one of our teachers to have a little kōrero to us. In fact, not just any teacher. Back when we were there, he was a math teacher. He was also hanging around the PE department. And for those that were good enough, he was also our the first 15 rugby coach of the school. Now, he's done extremely well in leadership roles and education. It's my absolute pleasure. And boys, give it up for the rector, or current rector, of St. Pat's Stream, Mr. Grahame Duffy. Kia ora, Grahame. Great to see you.
Yeah, kia ora, Eugene, and good to talk to you.
Oh, look, we're so happy. Thank you for allowing your time. I know you're an extremely busy man, but I also know that a lot of our guys, and you've been mentioned in a couple of their videos, will just be so keen to see you and also hear from you. So thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Now, for those that don't know, Grahame, and we can call him Grahame now, has had an awesome career since being at St. Pat's Stream. But I'll let him tell you a little bit about his journey in education and leadership. So Grahame, would you mind giving the boys a bit of a recap of the time that you were with us at Stream, and also the journey right through to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so Eugene arrived in Stream in 1990 and stayed for 9 years. 99, obviously arrived as a phys ed teacher to head of phys ed, went off to be assistant rector and then up to deputy rector. And then in 99, I went off to be rector of St. Pat's in Wellington. So spent 3 years as a rector of Wellington. And then I went to Hibs, Hutt International Boys School, which a lot will remember in its infancy across the road in the old council buildings just under the Silverstream rail bridge. They shifted up to Trentham in the racecourse car park, so I spent 12 years there. And then I sort of decided to give it away, and then I had 2 years running a company. And then I spent 16 months renovating a house for our retirement, and then Silverstream came up and thought, well, let's have a crack and give it a go. And so I've been back here. This will be my 4th year now. So a total of 18 years of principal and 36, I think, in education. So a long time, a lot of good memories, and a lot of good old boys I meet. And a lot of the old boys now have their sons here, and it's great to see them coming back to Stream.
That's amazing. So really, you've done the full circle. You've come back home.
Yeah, I have. And as Sister Frances Marie always said to me, you turned 100 10 days ago. You are off on a mission to convert them all to Catholicism. And then when you've done that, you can come back home. And she's still very sharp mind, even at 100 years of age, but now living in the home of compassion.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her that was posted the other day announcing her centenary. I just couldn't believe it. And I could believe that she's still really sharp-witted as well.
Well, she never gave up teaching, I don't think, till 2004. And I think that was only because Mr. David Levy, who you'll remember as rector when you were here, actually had to stop her from coming into the school and ask her to stay home.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell me, I'm just looking at your background. Do you live in that house, the big house that's on the property at Stream?
Yeah, I'm living in the rector's house. It's a massive house built in 94. And it's just having a few remedials done on it at the moment because, you know, like all houses, after 20 odd years, they need a bit of an upgrade. So I'm sitting in the office, and yeah, we've got obviously 2 houses. We've got the director of boarding, and we've got the house I live in. I've got 8 families that live on site, and they still sort of live on the top of Redwood, but we only have 100 boarders now. I think in the days when you were here, we would have had close on about 380, 390. Brother Bede was the boarding master. nowadays, of course, we have night guards, we have cameras, we have all sorts of health and safety issues that we have to go through. So thinking of the video that I had a look at the other day, and the Hugo McNaughts and all those people got mentioned, they'd never escape now. They'd have to remain in duty and wouldn't be able to get down that Hutt River without being on camera or being caught.
I was just going to say those cameras and guards wouldn't have been any good, or for us in our days, that's for sure.
No. And, the boys might be interested, just on a sideline there, Eugene, that as we speak, probably 5 days ago, a lot of them will remember the paddocks out the back that was turned into the golf course and the driving range. The golf course is now closed, and 5 days ago they began, Goodman's, doing a land infill there of first stage 17.5 hectares, which will take probably 5 to 7 years. And then the Society of Mary, that's the priests who still own the St. Bede, St. Pat's Town and us, will be able to generate income for the money that needs to be spent on our schools to bring them up to standard. Because Dowling, the main building, is built in 1991 and certainly is going to require a lot of work to be able to keep that building in the shape that it needs to be.
Wow, that's awesome. The boys will be good to know that info. Now, look, have you got butlers and things like that, Graham?
No, I've still got the same wife I married 35 years ago. And we ended up with 4 children when I started at Stream. The youngest, I think, was 18 months, playing in the sandpit while I was coaching. But no, still married to a wonderful wife who understands the life of being a principal. And while there's just us in here at the moment, we've had our oldest daughter and 2 grandkids live with us for about the last 5 months, but they're now moved out into their own home. So yeah, life moves on, and I've got 3 grandkids, 2 grandsons, and 1 granddaughter.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, please give a massive kia ora and hello to your wife Sandy and your children too from all of us. Now, you mentioned town. Now, of course, I spoke to our old boy Chris Philly the other day, who's now a guidance counsellor at town, and I asked him this question. I'll ask you, and you'll have a good gauge on this. Look, I mean, differences in your eyes. What are the differences between St. Pat's Town, Kilbirnie, and ourselves at Silverstream?
Yeah, well, town is very much a city school. It's very much built on a postage stamp in town, and they've had major earthquake issues, and I think they've spent millions on the place in the last 4 or 5 years to bring it up to standard and still going. For us, obviously, we got the luxury of fields still. We've probably got more fields than when you were here, because we now have the land in behind the Home of Compassion. And I think in the early 90s, we were going across the river. So we've got plenty of land. There's not much difference in town. They probably sing Siktari Feed'em, the school song, a little bit different. But apart from that, we've beaten them. They've only beaten us once in rugby in the last 10 years. And they'll probably be determined this year. But look, not a lot of difference. Just the makeup of, I suppose, the people in the city tend to think a little bit different than we do out here. But as you know, in your industry, Wellington's become a very expensive place to live.
Well, it sure has.
Upper Hutt is growing, and people are, like everything, are very interested in housing markets, etc. But I think the big difference for Stream now is that it has an enrolment scheme. So if you're living south of Manor Park or Stokes Valley, it's very difficult to get into the college. So a lot of our boarders now are weekly boarding and are coming from Lower Hutt. It's the only way they can get into the school.
Well, that's interesting. Now, just on that, and I was never clear on even if a policy existed, but an old boy, if you were an old boy of Stream, did that entitle you to automatic entry for your son if they wanted to go to Stream? Does it exist?
Not under the enrolment scheme. There is a clause in there with the association of the college and the son of an old boy, which pushes you up ahead of others. But The ones that get automatic entry are what we call 5.1s, which are Catholic, living in Upper Hutt, probably attending a Catholic school, they get automatic entry. And because Upper Hutt's grown and the Hutt Valley's grown, we are full. We're 735 boys. I'm only supposed to have 720, of which 100 are boarders. So I'll probably get that nice letter from the ministry saying to me, I need to reduce. But that's our maximum role. And that's what we've got to work in. So we're full. We are absolutely full.
Well, yeah, I guess, and look, overall respect, we're glad you're full. We're glad that our school hasn't folded or gone away, or has the school ever been close to introducing girls like some of the other schools have?
Yeah, well, we know Scots College just have, and I see, was it the one in Havelock North, the private boys' school, is just looking at the moment to try and get from the ministry. Currently, at the moment, there probably wouldn't be much of a request for that because we are actually full. But the Upper Hutt, if I just run through Upper Hutt, we're full. Hibs is full. Hiratonga College is full and has an enrolment scheme. The only place with probably room at the moment is Upper Hutt College, and that's going to fill up pretty quickly with all the real estate and the families that are shifting in. So where to from here? We have a bit of land, obviously. They might push us to try and go Form 1 to 7 school, but that might that might cause a bit of friction. But look, going forward, there is not enough schooling in Upper Hutt for the growing population. So when that wave comes through to secondary school, there's going to have to be some either increase in the size of our secondary schools, or they're going to have to build a new one. And a new one probably wouldn't be so bad because we'd get some nice buildings and that would be good. And that's our biggest concern at Stream, is we're still using buildings that were built in 31. Now, they have been strengthened. They survived the Kaikoura earthquake. But moving forward, we're going to have to get some money from somewhere to upgrade our plant. We've got the new gym. It's a beautiful facility named after Father Peter Blake, who coached the first 15 with me, who sadly passed away a few years ago, but was here, 89 to 93. Everyone will remember him coaching the first 11 cricket and the first 15 rugby. So we've got a wonderful state-of-the-art facility right next door to my house. So all night I get bouncing basketballs on the desktop, keeps me awake. But yeah, get used to that. But wonderful facility, and we've just basketball's one of our fastest growing sports here.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, certainly in our area, basketball was scratching.
Yeah,
definitely. Hey, amazing. Gee, what you've just told us and the changes. Now, as far as do you have such a thing as a tenureship? Like, is there a minimum or a maximum amount of time that you can remain rector? How does it work?
Yeah, interesting that some principals are on fixed term contracts, but this one here, I've got a job for life. But
Wow.
This is my 4th year. I'll tell the boys, I'm 62 now, 63 in December. The gap gets bigger between our students and us. 60, I'll be doing well to get to 65, Eugene. It's a tough job, a lot of evening work, got full sports on Saturdays to visit. We've got the traditional tomorrow against Wellington College, and I suppose we're going in slight favourites. We've beaten New Plymouth last week up in New Plymouth, great win for the boys, and we beat Palmy North boys here as well. Just lost to St Bede's on the last kick of the game, so our boys are tracking pretty well, and we've got the Wellington College traditional. But you say, do we take the whole school? Well, these days we play them in hockey, football, junior football. We play them in junior rugby, second 15, first 15. So it's a massive sports exchange now. Badminton is played, hockey at the National Stadium. So the time we take all those boys into town and we disperse them across the games, the whole school doesn't really get to watch the first 15 now.
It's amazing.
But when our biggest day is town, St Pat's Town, when we have the old boys, you'll be familiar with that. So hopefully tomorrow the boys will do it for us, and they're tracking all right. Tim Mannix is coaching them. A lot of them will probably remember Tim.
Yeah, so we've got two good Petone boys going head to head.
Yeah, and with my position, I'm an honorary vice president of Marist Valley. So interesting time, especially when we play the McBain Shield, which unfortunately we lost this year. So foot in both camps helps me out.
Absolutely. Hey, I saw a video of the game up at the Gully versus New Plymouth Boys High. And, you know, it's always an occasion playing up at the Gully, and the haka that New Plymouth Boys High School performed just outstanding. But interesting enough, and some of the guys may or may not know, of course, the head or the principal there is Sam Moore, who is a fellow Sylvie old boy. You know, how great must be that for you? I guess did you catch up with him?
Yeah, he still calls me sir. But I told him it's okay to call me Graham now. Yeah, I caught up with Sam. Some of you will remember he married an Upper Hutt girl, one of the Fair brothers, and well, I think Tim was my head boy in '99 when I left here. So he's certainly still got links with Upper Hutt. Yeah, I talked to Sam. He came through Fielding Ag and was DP there and gone on to New Plymouth Boys High. So great achievement. Shows that prop forwards still have some academic ability to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I can just see on my little screen that my internet is hopefully going to stay with us. Well, Graham, look, I could ask you questions, 100 questions, and be with you for hours, but we won't do that. Now we've gained so much momentum that we've got a good bunch of boys, a lot coming for the foundation dinner at the end of July. Will you be there, and will you be available to catch up with the guys that do come?
Yeah, I will certainly be there as long as I survive the school ball in 3 weeks and get through that. You know, it's always a great event for principals when they're over and they don't appear on the paper the next morning. But I will be at the foundation dinner and be available. And I know that, you know, the ticket sales are going pretty well. So should be a good night. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said to you before we went on screen, what are we all now? Us guys are in our mid-40s now, and I think we're just reaching that age where we're sort of wanting to, in our own time, or sort of just touch base again with each other. We had quite a special year. I bet every year says their special year, but tight bonds, and it's just awesome seeing each other again. And I know a lot of us are really looking forward to coming to the function. Good old Michael Leary is going to give us the tour, and we're going to sort of hang out as a group, and then come along to the dinner. We just can't wait.
No, because early '90s would have been when Everett was built, and that was built for, like, you know, the front office and everything else. But now the front office is back in front of the main building of Dowling. We're just directly opposite the chapel. So, you know, it's still impressive, and the number of people who come in and do the trip down memory lane, which is look at all the rugby photos and pick out their uncles and everyone else. But we've still got the first 11 football photos too, for those who want to go and have a look at that on the top of Kennedy. And, you know, the blue and whites are still available. So, you know, we've got quite a good history here. We've got Father John Walls as our college priest at the moment. Some of you will remember Mark Walls. Mark was the coach, I think, in '88, '89.
Yeah.
He runs what we call the Marist Youth Leadership Trust now, you know, which I chair. So that runs leadership programs for all the 9, well, they're supposedly Marist schools in New Zealand. So he's still active, and see quite a bit of him, and still doing some good leadership work.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Hey, do the boys still do ranks in the morning?
Yep, ranks is still a little bit different. When I came back, they do what was the difference? We just used to go attention and right turn.
Yeah.
I think now they have an at ease where they are allowed to move their feet apart and relax a little. But ranks is still there. Obviously, when it rains, we don't do it. Probably still got the same speakers there too, I think. But, you know, we struggle to get the 735 into the ranks squad now. without having to put them around the stairwell, the stairwell that goes up the other block. We have to hide some of them behind there because when we have, so
that's huge.
Yeah, but we still do it. And tomorrow morning, and we'll do the haka for all our teams before they farewell, and you just can't beat that haka in the rank squad.
Yeah, I hope that haka's got a bit better than the oe tiki we used to do back in the day.
Yeah, it's had a couple of refinements, and it's going well actually, because we have a competition during the year to all the boys, so they get to learn it really well. And the year nines have a special week where they go away and learn it. So, Te has come in to the curriculum. We have compulsory Te at year 9 now, full-time, 1.5 full-time Te teachers. So, as part, obviously, as the curriculum of New Zealand is to bring that in, and the boys love it and enter into it, and they love it. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. In fact, over the years, last decade and particularly maybe a bit more, I've kept an eye on things there, and it's awesome to see the all the different cultural groups that Silverstream produces now, the poly clubs and things. Look, in our era, it was in its infancies. We would scratch together a few boys just to, and I always remember Father Rowan Donahue, who was sort of the Māori club guy, but compared to then versus now, man, what a difference.
Yeah, education's really changed, and along with that comes other issues. You guys would probably give each other a bit of lip and be done with. Now we've got it all over social media, and the bullying's a lot more subtle. And most Monday mornings I spend, sorting out incidents of social media chat over the weekend that's inappropriate.
That's really interesting. So that's a real thing now, yeah?
Yep. And those of you who know me, probably when I was DP, the easiest way to crack it is I set up my own anonymous social media account, and the boys think I'm all one of them, and they tell me everything I need to know and sort it out on Monday morning.
Sensational. Yeah, the tricks of the trade.
Takes a thief to catch a thief. And, those, like you mentioned the other day, the Hugo McNaughts and that, they will understand that I was always one step ahead of them.
I was chatting to Hugo today, who's now in the outback of Australia. He'll be doing a video soon, so I know he'll be watching this. But hey, look, we certainly had our characters for sure in our year. Now, look, you mentioned Hibs before. I remember when they started across the road up near the bridge there, pretty much a prefab building in the early 90s. Now, look, the guys won't know, but you were hugely influential in the growth of that school and who they are today, who are actually quite a powerful school in their own right across the playing field in sports, culturally, musically, academically. You must be really proud of that achievement.
Yeah, it was a great time. I think Hibs developed because if you weren't Catholic, there was no single-sex boys' education in the Hutt Valley, and it had a religious denomination, which was with the Anglican Church. So look, I really enjoyed my time there. I've got an admin building named after me for the time and effort, and my wife still works there.
Hey, going back to that, that's pretty good. I mean, you don't get a building named after you until you've carked it, haven't you?
No, it's not memorial. It's still called the Grahame Duffy Admin Building. It doesn't really sit right with me, but anyway, so my wife's still there. What they've done is that they've created a really good school. We beat them by 60 points in rugby on Saturday, so they're not really up there with the rugby. But in terms of cricket and other sports, they've filled a niche in the market. And I think there's going to be another niche shortly, which is the way Upper Hutt's growing and the way schooling is. There's not enough schooling in the Upper Valley for the population growth that it's going through. Now, those primary schools might take a few years to secondary, but the only place at the moment that has room in Upper Hutt really is Upper Hutt College. Hibs is full, we're full, and Hiratonga College has an enrolment scheme, and they're dragging that back in. So
Wow.
there's going to be some issues for our, Ministry of Education and Government as they move forward. Like all the infrastructure in New Zealand, it's and most of you will remember the River Road when that was built. So 30,000 vehicles were going past stream a day, and they built the River Road. We've now got the River Road, and we're back to 30,000 vehicles going past St. Pat Silver Stream. It's just a bottleneck nightmare out the front of the college before and after school at the moment.
Wow, that is interesting. And I mean, Hibs has definitely come into their own. In fact, I believe they've produced their first a New Zealand cricket player who's on tour at the moment with the Black Caps. Is that right?
Yeah. Ravin Rashinda, I'd like to say I taught him everything he knows, but I wasn't there. So he came after me. I've been gone so they're a Form 1 to 7, so 7 years for a cycle. I've been gone, what have I been gone? 8 years. And their current principal, who was my third in charge, he has just resigned to leave at the end of the year. So they'll be looking for a new principal, but I certainly won't be going back there. This will be my last stewardship as a principal.
I reckon you're looking good, Graham. I reckon you can still bust out a few hitty miles yourself.
No, the answer to that is no. And I won't tilt the computer screen to show you below my shoulders because age has treated me very well.
All right, listen, I've kept you long enough. We've gone a little bit longer than we usually do, but I think it's really important and quite special actually, because I know the guys will really enjoy this, and they are watching from all over the world. I was talking to one of our old boys. I'm not sure if you remember David Quinn. David Quinn was touching base. Reece Postlethwaite, who is now an international pilot for Air New Zealand, he'll be watching this in LA. We've got guys out there doing it everywhere. So Graham, on behalf of our year, thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit of yourself to us. I know that the guys that will be making it to that dinner, the foundation dinner on the 31st of July, are just looking forward to catching up with you. And look, just shaking your hand and spinning a few yarns.
Yeah, thanks, Eugene. I just want to wish all the old boys all the best. The school's in good heart. We're doing well. It's certainly changed since all those were here in the early 90s, but the spirit and the heart's still there, and I think that's the main thing. And it's good to be back, even if I can just give my last few years as a principal back to the college, and hopefully it will build another foundation to move forward. And all the best to you, and great you're doing this series, and look forward to seeing the boys at the foundation dinner.
Thanks, Graham, and all the best to the boys tomorrow as they take on Wellington College at Wellington College. Do the business and bring it home. Thank you very much.
No problem. All the best, Eugene.
Thanks, Graham.
All right. Good talk, eh?